People often chase grand demonstrations of brilliance, searching for dramatic breakthroughs, flashy insights, or heroic displays of quick thinking. However, the most revealing indicator of heightened mental sharpness rarely appears in glamorous form. Instead, it hides behind quiet gestures, subtle reactions, or understated habits that individuals usually interpret as flaws. Imagine someone convinced they lack remarkable cognitive power precisely because they overlook these quiet patterns. That paradox sets the tone for everything about to unfold. Picture an ordinary moment. Someone pauses before replying during a casual conversation. Someone hesitates before confirming an idea. Someone expresses uncertainty while analyzing something simple. Society frequently associates such pauses with weakness. Yet beneath that silence lies something powerful, something most people fail to recognize about themselves. This quiet behavior, often ignored or dismissed as indecision, may actually signal the presence of exceptional reasoning. The irony is nearly comical. Countless people secretly display a mental feature admired by great thinkers, never realizing how extraordinary that feature truly is. This tension between appearance and reality serves as a perfect introduction to the mindset championed by Richard Feynman. Known for dismantling illusions surrounding intelligence, he encouraged an approach that valued honesty over showmanship, clarity over complicated jargon, and curiosity over arrogance. In his perspective, the authentic signs of intellectual refinement rarely matched popular expectations. He believed that genuine understanding blossoms through humble questioning rather than confident declarations. That theme resonates strongly with the idea guiding this entire video. An unassuming signal, often mistaken for inadequacy, can unveil a remarkably capable mind. To illustrate this contrast, think about the countless moments when individuals feel embarrassed for not responding immediately, for not holding an instant opinion, or for acknowledging gaps in comprehension. Instead of recognizing these traits as evidence of an active, self-aware mind evaluating information carefully, they label themselves as slow or unprepared. This misunderstanding shapes entire lives, pushing people to hide reflective tendencies that actually reveal powerful cognitive machinery. That disconnect between how people perceive themselves and what their behavior truly conveys forms the foundation of a revelation waiting to be uncovered. Consider how many extraordinary discoveries emerged from individuals comfortable admitting they didn't know something yet. That willingness to explore uncertainties without fear of judgment becomes a powerful engine for insight. In contrast, the facade of certainty often masks limited exploration. When someone clings to fixed answers, internal progress slows. Feynman repeatedly highlighted this contrast, emphasizing that wisdom emerges from candid recognition of personal limitations. That principle, although simple, carries transformative potential for anyone willing to see beyond superficial appearances. The intriguing part of this subject lies in its ability to turn self-perception upside down. People accustomed to doubting their own abilities may suddenly realize they possess traits admired by legendary thinkers. A moment once interpreted as confusion may, in fact, signify high-level cognitive agility. A habit once viewed as insecurity may actually reflect intellectual courage. Through this shift, everyday experiences gain new meaning, empowering viewers to reinterpret countless situations with a fresh lens. Throughout this introduction, the objective is to spark curiosity, challenge assumptions, and invite every viewer to observe their inner world with renewed interest. By framing the topic through irony and gentle humor, the opening encourages the audience to lean in, intrigued by the possibility that they might be far more mentally capable than they ever dared believe. The contrast between expectation and truth fuels engagement, setting the stage for deeper exploration throughout the video. As we continue, prepare to examine an approach inspired by Feynman's philosophy, an approach built on honesty, clarity, and fearless inquiry. His legacy showcases how remarkable thinking often appears in ordinary gestures, hidden beneath layers of self-doubt or misunderstanding. This video seeks to illuminate those hidden patterns, guiding viewers toward a clearer understanding of themselves. Before moving on, share something in the comments. Have you ever felt uncertain about your abilities, only to discover later that this hesitation meant you were evaluating things more thoughtfully than others noticed? When people hear Richard Feynman's name, many instantly picture the energetic physicist with lively eyes, quick humor, and an unusual ability to transform complex theories into ideas even a teenager could grasp. Yet beneath his charismatic surface existed a deeper puzzle. How could someone so brilliant consistently speak with such simplicity, humility, and almost childlike wonder? This contrast defines the essence of Feynman's intellectual identity, turning him into a figure who challenges every conventional image of genius. Feynman refused to wrap thoughts in elegant terminology or unnecessary sophistication. Instead, he preferred clarity. He valued understanding over performance, comprehension over appearance. He often joked about experts who used elaborate vocabulary to disguise confusion. His approach centered on stripping away illusions until the truth stood unmistakably clear. Viewers drawn to his philosophy soon realize that his charm rests not only in his knowledge, but in the unusual way he engaged with the world. By embracing curiosity instead of pride, he constantly examined ordinary events with extraordinary attention. A spinning plate in a cafeteria, seemingly insignificant, became a pathway to deeper insights about motion. Chalk dust drifting through sunlight could awaken an entire chain of thought about physics. Every moment held potential, not because of dramatic circumstances, but because of the openness he maintained. That attitude created a magnetic presence, approachable, authentic, endlessly exploratory. People sometimes imagine scientists as distant individuals buried behind equations and theories. However, Feynman shattered that stereotype. His personality blended mischief, enthusiasm, and striking honesty. Friends described him as someone who could laugh loudly, question boldly, and explain elegantly. His lectures became legendary, not due to complicated diagrams, but because he spoke with genuine passion, transforming intimidating subjects into conversations. That generosity built trust, allowing students and colleagues alike to learn without fear of judgment. Despite his achievements, including the Nobel Prize, groundbreaking contributions to quantum electrodynamics, and influential roles in major scientific investigations, he remained grounded. Fame didn't seduce him. Praise didn't dominate his thoughts. Instead, he maintained a relentless focus on learning. He admitted mistakes without hesitation, explored unfamiliar topics enthusiastically, and challenged assumptions regularly. That combination created a rare figure, a thinker whose brilliance shone brighter because he never tried to appear superior. His approach to teaching reflected this mindset. Instead of glorifying his intelligence, he encouraged people to explore ideas independently. He believed that understanding blossoms when individuals confront concepts honestly, rather than memorizing information to impress others. For him, true mastery required admitting confusion whenever it appeared. That message resonated widely because it liberated learners from the pressure to pretend. This comfort with uncertainty forms the central connection between Feynman's behavior and the subtle sign discussed in this video. The very traits that many people misinterpret as weakness, hesitation, questioning, acknowledgement of gaps, were traits he celebrated. He insisted that knowledge grows through curiosity, not confidence. Every unanswered question moved him forward. Every doubt sharpened his awareness. In his worldview, acknowledging not knowing signaled integrity, strength, and the desire to improve. His life was rich with stories illustrating this principle. Whether working on high-level scientific problems or tinkering with simple puzzles, he embraced the same spirit. Colleagues recalled how he would laugh at his own misunderstandings before diving deeper. That playful honesty made him unforgettable. He didn't merely study phenomena, he interacted with them. He didn't simply write formulas, he explored meaning behind them. That willingness to confront the unknown defined him more than any formal accomplishment. Understanding this dimension of Feynman's character helps illuminate the broader theme of this video. Genuine intelligence often looks different from what people expect. He demonstrated that mental excellence doesn't require perfection, constant confidence, or instant answers. Instead, it requires authenticity. People drawn to his work often find comfort in this realization, recognizing familiar tendencies within themselves. Looking at Feynman's legacy through this lens reveals something profound. He didn't inspire admiration solely through achievements. He inspired it through the way he approached life. He turned learning into adventure, uncertainty into opportunity, and honesty into power. His philosophy encourages everyone to rethink how they evaluate their own minds. Maybe the habits they once dismissed hold more significance than imagined. Before we move forward, consider this. What quality do you admire most in Feynman? His clarity, curiosity, humor, or honesty? Leave your answer below. There is a particular behavior that many individuals carry without realizing its significance. It appears during casual discussions, workplace debates, family conversations, academic moments, or even during solitary reflection. This subtle pattern often slips beneath awareness because society conditions everyone to overlook it. Instead of valuing the mental process behind it, people frequently judge themselves harshly when it appears. Ironically, that very reaction proves how misunderstood this pattern truly is. Imagine someone listening carefully while others speak, absorbing details before responding. Rather than answering instantly, the person pauses. Eyes shift slightly as thoughts reorganize. Breathing slows. Internal evaluation begins. Externally, nothing dramatic occurs. Internally, an intricate process unfolds. Many interpret this as indecision or lack of confidence. However, that quiet moment reflects a sophisticated cognitive mechanism at work. This mechanism involves digesting information thoroughly before forming conclusions. It resists jumping into assumptions. It considers context, nuance, and potential consequences. That moment of stillness allows ideas to settle, rearrange, recombine, and clarify. People often underestimate how powerful this internal movement is. They mistake calmness for insecurity, reflection for slowness, or caution for weakness. That misunderstanding shapes self-perception, obscuring the truth behind the behavior. Yet, through Feynman's teachings, this habit takes on an entirely different meaning. He emphasized mental honesty above all else. Instead of rushing toward answers, he encouraged thoughtful evaluation. In his view, the willingness to pause and evaluate reveals someone who values real understanding rather than superficial certainty. That shift transforms an ordinary moment into an indicator of intellectual depth. Consider how often modern culture rewards speed. Quick replies earn praise. Instant opinions attract attention. People who hesitate stand out, drawing judgment from those who equate rapid response with intelligence. However, speed doesn't always equal clarity. Sometimes the fastest answer is simply the least examined one. That distinction becomes crucial when assessing the subtle behavior highlighted in this section. Individuals who embody this pattern possess an unusual advantage. They engage with information rather than reacting impulsively. Their minds operate in layers, comparing new details with existing knowledge, testing possibilities silently. While others rush into statements designed to impress, these individuals prioritize accuracy. Their careful approach may appear understated, but it reflects a deeper desire to comprehend things fully. This trait often emerges during emotionally charged moments as well. Instead of escalating tension, the person affected by this pattern takes a step back internally, allowing space for the situation to settle. That restraint requires strength. Many confuse it with hesitation, but it demonstrates self-control, rational evaluation, and emotional maturity. Such behavior creates a stabilizing effect during interactions, reducing misunderstandings and encouraging more meaningful exchanges. There is also a creative dimension hidden within this quiet pattern. People who pause regularly create openings for imagination. The mind uses that brief silence to explore alternatives, generate insights, or connect ideas in unexpected ways. What appears externally as indecision may internally represent a laboratory of thought, experimenting with concepts. Feynman himself often described moments when he would sit silently, letting curiosity guide him toward unexpected discoveries. Unfortunately, countless individuals have learned to suppress this natural inclination. They fear being judged, so they mimic quick reactions. They worry about appearing unsure, so they pretend to grasp things instantly. They adopt behaviors that mask their authentic processing rhythm. As a result, they lose connection with one of their most valuable cognitive assets. This suppression often leads to confusion, frustration, or diminished self-confidence. Recognizing this pattern allows people to reclaim it. Understanding its true nature dissolves shame. Instead of labeling themselves as indecisive, individuals begin to appreciate the mental depth driving their behavior. They start noticing how often their deliberate rhythm leads to clearer conclusions, stronger decisions, and more nuanced perspectives. What once seemed like a flaw becomes a quiet form of strength. Feynman's philosophy reinforces this interpretation. He believed that understanding grows through patient inquiry. not rushed declarations. People who embody the subtle sign described here already follow a path similar to his without realizing it. Their reflective behavior aligns with principles that guided one of the greatest scientific minds in modern history. This connection alone should inspire renewed appreciation for the patterns they carry instinctively. In everyday life, this trait shapes relationships, work environments, learning experiences, and creative efforts. It encourages deeper conversations, more thoughtful collaborations, and decisions grounded in clarity. Those who possess it often notice details others overlook, anticipate outcomes others ignore, and understand complexities others simplify. Their calm approach doesn't diminish their intelligence, it amplifies it. Before we advance, share something in the comments. Have you ever felt embarrassed by your reflective pauses? After learning what they reveal, do you see them differently now? The behavior described earlier might look insignificant at first glance. A short silence, a thoughtful pause, a moment of stillness before expressing an idea. Nothing about it seems remarkable on the surface. Yet, beneath this quiet gesture hides a remarkable form of mental sophistication that many overlook their entire lives. To understand why, we need to examine what truly happens inside the mind when this seemingly simple action takes place. Whenever someone chooses reflection over impulse, they activate cognitive systems that specialize in deep analysis. Instead of relying on automatic responses, they shift toward deliberate reasoning. This internal movement requires discipline, patience, and awareness. While many react instantly out of habit, individuals who demonstrate this subtle behavior willingly slow down their mental pace to ensure accuracy. That choice alone reveals a fundamental difference in cognitive style. This thoughtful rhythm suggests the person cares more about truth than appearance. They prioritize clarity over performance, substance over showmanship. These priorities align closely with the mindset valued by extraordinary thinkers throughout history, including Richard Feynman. He frequently warned against pretending to understand something for the sake of social approval. For him, genuine mastery demanded honesty and mental openness, qualities quietly displayed through this behavior. Another reason this trait signals uncommon intelligence lies in its connection to metacognition. Metacognition involves awareness of one's own thought processes. When someone pauses before responding, they are not simply thinking, they are observing themselves thinking. They evaluate whether their initial reaction is accurate, whether their understanding is complete, whether additional information is needed. This self-monitoring reflects advanced cognitive functioning. People who engage in this inner evaluation often develop sharper insights because they refuse to accept superficial explanations. They question assumptions. They examine inconsistencies. They resist the urge to oversimplify. That internal vigilance allows them to identify flaws in arguments, detect hidden patterns, and make decisions grounded in thoughtful judgment rather than emotional impulse. Many of the world's most innovative problem solvers relied on this exact habit. Additionally, the subtle pause often indicates a heightened sensitivity to nuance. Instead of focusing solely on obvious details, individuals with this trait notice subtleties others ignore. Tone, context, emotional undercurrents, logical structures, all receive attention during that brief silence. This expanded perceptive range strengthens their ability to understand situations from multiple angles. As a result, they navigate complex environments with greater confidence and adaptability. There is also a social dimension to this behavior. When someone listens attentively before responding, they demonstrate respect for others' perspectives. Instead of interrupting or asserting dominance, they value the exchange. This listening habit creates stronger connections, fosters trust, and encourages more meaningful interactions. People often feel heard, and therefore valued, when engaging with someone who carries this reflective style. Ironically, many individuals who possess this behavior believe it weakens them socially. They assume their pauses make them appear unsure or timid. However, people who communicate with them frequently perceive something entirely different: thoughtfulness, seriousness, and emotional maturity. These qualities inspire confidence far more effectively than rapid but careless remarks. Another powerful aspect of this trait lies in its connection to long-term learning. People who reflect naturally tend to absorb information more deeply. Because they process ideas slowly and deliberately, the material becomes integrated into memory with greater stability. Instead of memorizing facts temporarily, they internalize concepts in a way that supports future problem solving. This learning style mirrors the approach used by individuals who excel in scientific fields, artistic professions, and strategic disciplines. Even creativity benefits from this behavior. The silent moment that precedes an answer becomes a space for imagination to roam freely. Ideas drift across the mind, collide, merge, and transform into new possibilities. Creativity rarely emerges from rush or noise. It thrives in quiet environments where the mind is allowed to explore without pressure. That brief pause becomes an incubator for innovation. Despite all these strengths, society often discourages the habit. Schools reward speed. Workplaces prize instant reaction. Social platforms amplify those who speak first rather than those who think carefully. Consequently, countless people hide this precious ability in an attempt to fit in. They mimic the behavior of fast responders, not realizing they are disconnecting from one of their greatest intellectual gifts. Recognizing the value behind this pattern changes everything. It empowers individuals to embrace their natural rhythm with confidence instead of insecurity. It transforms shame into appreciation. It reveals that behind every thoughtful pause lies a mind capable of profound reasoning, emotional intelligence, and creative insight. In many ways, this behavior becomes a quiet superpower, one that operates silently, yet shapes impressive outcomes. The goal is for viewers to reframe how they interpret their own tendencies. What once felt like hesitation may actually be wisdom. What once felt like slowness may actually be precision. What once felt like inadequacy may actually be the hallmark of a powerful thinker. Before we continue, answer this. Did you ever hide this behavior because you thought it made you look weak? Does understanding its strength change your perspective? Richard Feynman had a unique way of revealing truths that most people overlook. Instead of glorifying complexity, he celebrated clarity. Instead of pretending to know everything, he openly admitted when something didn't make sense. That honesty made him unconventional, and it also illuminated behaviors that many individuals carry unknowingly. Among these behaviors, the reflective pattern discussed earlier becomes even more meaningful when seen through Feynman's lens. To understand why, imagine how he approached problems. Feynman would sit with an idea, toy with it, break it apart mentally, rebuild it, question each component, and only then form an explanation. Even when the subject seemed simple to others, he refused to rush. He valued the integrity of understanding more than the speed of arriving at an answer. That commitment mirrors the quiet pauses people experience in daily life when they hesitate before speaking. The power in this habit emerges when we compare two mental strategies. One strategy relies on rapid responses, automatic reactions, memorized shortcuts, and social pressure to appear confident. The other relies on curiosity, exploration, and intellectual humility. Feynman embodied the latter. His approach demonstrated that meaningful thinking often looks slow externally, even though the internal activity is dynamic and intense. Individuals who display the subtle behavior of pausing share an instinctive connection with this mindset. They naturally resist intellectual shortcuts. Their minds probe beyond surface-level information. Instead of accepting the first idea that appears, they wait for a clearer picture. This process aligns with the way Feynman demanded accuracy from himself. He refused to settle for illusions of knowledge, and those who mirror his reflective tendencies unknowingly practice a similar discipline. Another aspect of Feynman's approach lies in his insistence on simplicity. He believed that if someone truly understood a concept, they could explain it using uncomplicated language. Achieving this level of clarity requires deep comprehension, not empty confidence. Those who pause exhibit a desire for this type of clarity. They think before speaking because their minds search for precision. They want to express ideas responsibly, not recklessly. This desire for accuracy often leads to better learning outcomes. When someone internalizes information slowly, they build stronger mental foundations. Instead of memorizing details temporarily, they absorb ideas in ways that remain accessible long-term. Feynman advocated for this type of learning continually. He practiced it himself through the teach-back method, refining concepts until they were solid. People who reflect instinctively simulate this method without realizing it. Moreover, Feynman valued questions more than answers. He often said curiosity drove more discoveries than certainty ever could. Those who pause display that same curiosity. They want to understand before responding. They seek nuance. They look beyond appearances. That hunger for comprehension fuels insights others miss because they rush past the important parts. Another connection between this habit and Feynman's philosophy involves emotional detachment from ego. Many individuals speak quickly in order to appear knowledgeable or important. Feynman rejected that mindset entirely. He believed ego corrupted understanding. When someone pauses, they quietly set aside ego. Their goal becomes accuracy, not praise. They prefer truth over performance. This humble stance is far more aligned with deep intelligence than the bravado often mistaken for brilliance. This reflective behavior also enables better problem solving. Feynman approached challenges playfully, exploring multiple angles before committing to any solution. His mental flexibility allowed him to uncover answers that others overlooked. The subtle pause reflects that same flexibility. Instead of locking into immediate conclusions, individuals who exhibit this trait remain open to alternative interpretations. That openness creates space for creative breakthroughs. Additionally, this habit helps people manage complexity. Life presents situations filled with contradictions, missing details, and emotional noise. Quick reactions often oversimplify these moments. Reflective individuals handle complexity more gracefully. Their internal evaluation helps them navigate uncertainty with calmness. They are less prone to panic, less likely to misunderstand, and more capable of forming balanced judgments. Feynman's influence becomes even clearer when we observe how he approached mistakes. He treated errors as opportunities for exploration rather than sources of shame. People who pause carry that same instinct. Their internal hesitation often appears because they are scanning for potential flaws in their own thinking. They strive to avoid spreading misinformation or making careless decisions. This vigilance improves accuracy and strengthens intellectual integrity. Finally, understanding this connection between Feynman's philosophy and the reflective habit allows individuals to see their own behavior with greater respect. What once felt like a weakness becomes a quiet form of brilliance. The pause becomes a sign of discipline, not uncertainty. It becomes evidence of curiosity, not fear. It reflects a desire for clarity, not confusion. And viewed through Feynman's eyes, it reveals a mental style shared with some of the most insightful thinkers ever documented. Before we continue to the next section, share this in the comments. Do you recognize Feynman's influence in your own thinking patterns? Which part of his approach resonates most with the way you process information? Understanding ideas without relying on rigid formulas or decorative terminology created a lifestyle that Richard Feynman valued more than any academic medal. Throughout his routine, he encouraged everyone to build internal clarity by removing layers of confusion that frequently hide simple truths under unnecessary ornaments. He often mentioned that many individuals memorize elegant explanations without ever testing whether those constructions actually illuminate anything valuable. Consequently, minds remain cluttered with borrowed voices instead of genuine insight. Observing that pattern, he adopted a different approach. He transformed learning into an active process filled with curiosity, humor, and small experiments capable of revealing mechanisms behind concepts that appeared intimidating at first glance. During various afternoons in Los Alamos, colleagues remembered him sitting on improvised benches, sketching quick diagrams while asking questions that sounded almost childish. Nevertheless, each inquiry opened small windows that allowed groups around him to visualize pieces of complex phenomena in ways they had never considered. The secret behind that ability was neither talent nor mystical spark. Instead, it was his refusal to accept superficial understanding. Whenever an explanation lacked transparency, he rebuilt everything from scratch, using direct language, physical analogies, and playful comparisons that stripped away abstractions. In doing so, he transformed intimidating theories into approachable stories. This habit shaped his communication with students as well. Instead of lecturing from distant podiums, he enjoyed walking among desks, drawing wide arcs through classrooms, inviting hesitant participants to verbalize uncertainties. Many feared appearing foolish. However, he reminded them that confusion was a natural phase of insight creation. A listener who remained silent lost the opportunity to refine internal reasoning. Thus, he promoted a culture where inquiry was not merely allowed but proudly welcomed. Each interaction highlighted another trait, his insistence on intellectual honesty. When an answer eluded him, he openly admitted it, refusing to pretend familiarity with concepts he had not yet explored. That sincerity shocked certain academics who preferred protecting reputations. Nonetheless, his attitude demonstrated enormous strength. Acknowledging gaps permitted authentic progress, while pretending knowledge generated fragile foundations that collapsed under pressure. For him, truth always outweighed appearances. Throughout decades, he carried notebooks filled with drawings, comments, random comparisons, and observations collected during daily routines. Those volumes contained seeds of insights developed while repairing radios, practicing percussion, cracking safes, observing ants, or discussing astronomy with neighbors. Nothing was too small or irrelevant. Any minor detail could inspire broader reflections. His mind connected disparate elements with ease, not because he forced associations, but because he maintained an open stance toward everything around him. Even leisure moments fueled analysis. For example, hearing bongo rhythms pushed him to investigate acoustic patterns. Watching spinning plates inside cafeterias motivated calculations that later contributed to significant discoveries. Simple conversations transformed into gateways toward deeper understanding. That ability revealed how curiosity thrives when one allows spontaneity to guide attention rather than rigid schedules dictated by academic conventions. His teaching method, later recognized worldwide, rested upon three pillars: simplify expressions without losing accuracy, reconstruct arguments using personal language, and test understanding by explaining concepts to someone entirely unfamiliar with the subject. This technique formed a cycle of continuous refinement. Each retelling forced him to polish thoughts until every detail felt transparent. Whenever he struggled to articulate something, he knew the material required additional examination. That process prevented illusions of comprehension. People admired how calmly he dismantled enormous theories into digestible fragments. Instead of focusing on prestige surrounding scientific achievements, he preferred asking why things behaved as they did. Curiosity guided him far more than ambition. Enjoyment mattered more than applause. Consequently, his lectures radiated enthusiasm, turning even skeptical listeners into active participants. His worldview encouraged everyone to adopt similar practices, question assumptions, verify statements, translate abstract notions into familiar contexts, and avoid hiding behind grand vocabulary. Knowledge should liberate, not intimidate. He believed that genuine intelligence emerged when individuals maintained courage to confront doubts directly rather than decorating them with sophisticated phrases. Ultimately, his philosophy invited others to embrace learning as an adventure rooted in authenticity, humor, and relentless clarity. Instead of praising complexity for complexity's sake, he pursued clean reasoning. Instead of performing intellectual shows, he valued sincere internal transformation. His legacy persists because it proves that brilliance grows not from memorization, but from determination to understand reality with honesty, creativity, and unrestrained curiosity. Recognizing the subtle sign that reveals unexpected intelligence requires stepping back from traditional measurements. For Richard Feynman, brilliance rarely appeared through loud declarations or complicated demonstrations. Instead, it showed itself in quiet habits that most people overlook because they expect genius to look theatrical. Yet, the real indicator hides in moments when someone questions their own certainty, examines unfamiliar details with genuine interest, or admits confusion without shame. Those small gestures contain enormous cognitive power, and Feynman understood that better than anyone. Throughout his career, he noticed that individuals who constantly pretend mastery tend to block insight. They defend rigid positions, resist new information, and protect reputations at the expense of clarity. In contrast, the truly sharp mind feels no need to maintain illusions. It prefers honesty over performance. That attitude allows growth, refinement, and unexpected advances. This behavioral difference became one of his favorite clues when evaluating whether a student or colleague had potential to uncover meaningful discoveries. He believed the quiet moment when someone says, "I don't understand yet, but I want to figure it out," carries more intelligence than a polished speech full of complicated terminology. That statement indicates humility, self-awareness, and willingness to engage with uncertainty. It reflects curiosity strong enough to override ego. While others hide confusion, the perceptive individual exposes it, not for dramatic effect, but because insight matters more than appearance. Visitors in his office often expected intimidating discussions filled with dense equations. However, They encountered an environment filled with laughter, sketches, ordinary objects, and simple analogies. He used these elements, not because he lacked technical command, but because his mind preferred building understanding from the ground upward. Anyone could speak with him, regardless of age or background, because he valued ideas more than credentials. This quality attracted people from diverse areas who felt refreshed by his straightforward approach. Feynman recognized intelligence in listeners who stayed alert to inconsistencies, asked spontaneous questions, and refused to accept explanations that sounded impressive but delivered no meaning. He encouraged individuals to trust their instinct when something felt unclear. That instinct, according to him, was a crucial hint of a mind capable of deep comprehension. Instead of following established doctrines blindly, such people trusted their observations and rebuilt knowledge using personal logic. This insight influenced various episodes of his life. While working on complex research, he often encountered young researchers who, despite lacking experience, demonstrated extraordinary clarity because they approached problems without conceit. They listened, tested assumptions, and expressed doubts freely. Their transparency allowed them to learn faster than peers who hid uncertainties. Feynman admired that behavior and frequently said that discovering a single honest thinker was worth more than a room full of experts, terrified of appearing imperfect. The subtle sign mentioned in the title becomes visible when someone treats learning as a living process rather than a performance. It manifests in calm exploration, thoughtful pauses, surprising analogies, and the courage to challenge one's own reasoning. It appears when someone encounters a new topic and approaches it like a puzzle instead of a threat. It reveals itself when a person finds pleasure in breaking concepts into simple pieces, just to observe how everything fits together. Many interpret this quiet trait as insecurity. However, Feynman insisted it was the opposite. Only a confident individual can walk into unfamiliar territory without fear of showing curiosity. The insecure mind clings to pretenses. The secure mind seeks truth. That distinction separates shallow knowledge from genuine insight. Across classrooms, laboratories, and public talks, he tried to awaken this same attitude in others. He urged students to observe ordinary events, spinning dishes, moving water, falling leaves, bouncing balls, and analyze them with sincerity instead of relying exclusively on formal instruction. When someone returned excited, saying they had discovered a relationship or pattern, he celebrated the event not because of its magnitude but because of the mindset behind it. That enthusiasm represented authentic intelligence at work. This chapter culminates with his core message. Intelligence is not defined by complicated vocabulary or prestigious recognition. It becomes evident through the way someone handles uncertainty, curiosity, and genuine comprehension. The subtle sign appears quietly, almost invisibly, whenever a person prioritizes understanding over display. Recognizing this trait in yourself can transform confidence, learning habits, and perspective. If you've ever found yourself joyfully trying to decode something instead of pretending to know it, you possess the very quality Feynman admired most.